All right, guys, I want to play you some audio of Jurgen, right? Let's...
My more than 20 years, easily the most special trophy I ever won.
Right? Easily the most special trophy I've ever won. Those of you that have followed me for years know that I'm old school, right? It's probably because I'm older, right? So, the League Cup, I call it the League Cup, right? I refuse to call it by sponsors' names and things like that, because, you know, over years they can change, and I think it devalues, so I just prefer to call it the League Cup, right? And the FA Cup, those competitions, I love those competitions. And I understand completely the need to prioritise, you know, and whatnot. You know, obviously the Champions League, for example, or the Champions League final is the big final, and you want to win that. You know, it all goes, you know, ranked, if you like, in order of importance. However, you know, business people that own the club or clubs, whichever football team we're talking about, they're just bothered about, you know, the money. They don't care, you know, about the League Cup or anything. You know, I'm sure that they celebrate, like Werner yesterday, you know, the Liverpool chairman. You know, I'm sure he was delighted to see us win, of course. But they're never going to be like really like prioritising those kind of things. And my appeal over the years, I've always appealed to people to not give up on the League Cup. Don't become one of those fans that's like, oh, it's a Mickey Mouse competition. When you lose, it's a Mickey Mouse competition, right? Don't give up on the League Cup. Don't give up on the FA Cup. Listen to what Jurgen's saying there. You know, and at times, I'll be honest with you, that I think he's not really being that bothered about them, you know, because the German football, I don't think they're really bothered about domestic cups and things like that. But one thing you've got to understand is it's all very well wanting to win the Champions League final, but as a football supporter, you might never be able to go to one of those, right? Because it's very difficult to get tickets. It's that bad enough for a League Cup final or something, right? And what I would say to you is, Cup final days and the weekends around them, depending on where, you know, if you are lucky enough to go to a Cup final, to Wembley or something, these are memories that will stay with you for the rest of your life. You know, like my first ever Liverpool game that I went to was Liverpool versus Everton, the 1986 FA Cup final with my dad, who's no longer around, right? So the FA Cup to me is always really an emotional occasion because it always reminds me of that, you know, 11-year-old boy going to that game with my dad, right? And these are like really important things, you know, these experiences. And if you start taking away the importance of playing in the League Cup, the FA Cup, and you strip those opportunities, those cup final days out, what's left for the fans? Do you know what I mean? I can guarantee you that any of our fans that were at those games, you know, that game yesterday, sorry, they loved it. They loved it. The whole occasion, it's not just the gameplay, it's the build-up for it. So, you know, standing in a city centre, having a few beers before the game, maybe driving, getting up at the crack of dawn and setting off with your scarves hanging out of the window and all that, you know. Or maybe you got there the day before. You know, it's like this big journey. It depends where, you know, if you went to the final, where you're from as to how big that journey was. And some of the best ever occasions where I've experienced, like the finals and that, was Cardiff. You know, we felt like we were there every 5 minutes. You know, stood in the precinct there and just all them red shirts and everything. Just amazing. It's all part of being a football supporter. And nothing has hurt me, or well, hurt's probably the wrong word, frustrated me more over the years as to attitudes of, oh, it's only the League Cup or it's the FA Cup, I'm not fucking bothered about that. I think if you're one of them people that's not bothered about that, especially the FA Cup, like, who the fuck are you? Like, you're in the wrong game. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we want to win the league. That's the priority. Champions League, massive. All right? And yeah, we know we've got to go where the money is, and you have to, you know, you can't risk, you know, getting injuries in a particular League Cup game, say, when you've got an important Premier League game 3 days later or something like that. But for me, you know, memories were made this weekend. Whether that was you at home watching it with your family, with your son, your daughter, your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, your boyfriend, your brother, your sister, whatever. Whether you were there, whether you know, you will remember the 1992 FA Cup final. I can remember exactly where I was. You know, I was probably, how old was I in 1992? I was about 17 or something like that. Can't remember, to be honest with you. But I remember being in the Lord Nelson pub in Scarborough with my dad, having a jacket potato, beans, cheese and garlic butter. I can't remember what happened this morning, but I can remember that. Sat with a Sunderland fan called Liam that I'd never met before in my life, just in the pub that day, and he was like, and like, we had a bet. We were like, every time Liverpool score, you've got to buy me a drink, and vice versa if Sunderland score and all that. These are memories that you remember. And some of you watching this going, well, yeah, that's obvious, but it's not to some of these people, because some of these people just like, League Cup, fuck that. Listen to Jurgen, the tears. Did you see Piers Morgan retweeted a picture or posted a picture, of Jurgen with tears in his eyes, and Piers Morgan said something like, if you're crying about the League Cup, winning the League Cup, something, basically wrong with you, or something like that. I mean, do you know what I mean? And this is someone that labels himself a big football fan. A football fan who supports Arsenal, right? Piers Morgan's one of them people, you either love him or you hate him or whatever. Some days I like him, some days I don't. He gets on people's nerves and that. He asks awkward questions, fine. But as a football fan, he should know better than that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that could be the Arsenal manager, the Man United manager, anyone crying, and I wouldn't take the piss because I'd think, I'm a football fan. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is important. To me, it is. So this game this weekend, this is an entire reminder as to why you shouldn't forget your roots and forget the likes of Shankly telling you that this club, exists to win trophies. So you might think, or someone might think, it's only the League Cup, don't really. But when you start having them little arguments with your rival fans and you start adding up how many trophies you won, that another little one there now next to that League Cup. It's so important, guys, that we do not let the corporate people take over our beautiful game. And it's something that I've been so deep into over the years. When doing editorials or videos or whatever, if you followed me since the 90s, you know I've always been like that. Because I can remember watching Liverpool in League Cup games when I was a 15-year-old boy, laid in my bed in my bedroom, watching the highlights at 10:30 at night or something like that. I can remember, I can't remember the score, but I remember Liverpool Man United playing in the competition probably around 88, 89 or something. I don't know. But it meant everything. And it does mean everything. And if you're a football fan, you should never let these people downgrade the memories that are achieved. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that there would have been another 11-year-old boy at that game yesterday with his dad. That was me, all them years ago, right? FA Cup, but domestic competition. They'll have been there, and that little 11-year-old boy, he'll be thinking about that for the rest of his life. When his dad's gone, one day he'll look back and go, I remember when I went to that cup final with my dad. You can't let money dictate and ruin everything. And I'm so proud of the reaction. Have you seen some of the videos of our players celebrating, coming down the fucking steps in the stadium and that? So, your rival fans today might go, it's just fucking League Cup, innit? Yeah, but they'd have done anything to be in it, in that final, to win that. And not only that, guys, how proud are you as a Liverpool supporter today, or were you yesterday? Because I can tell you this, you find me a game where you can say you felt the pride as much as yesterday. Now, we can all talk about Istanbul and things like that. We know there's been big, great finals over the years, and Warriors and all that. These were fucking kids. I in my life, as a Liverpool supporter, and I've probably supported Liverpool for 43 years or something like that. I don't know, no idea, right? In my life as a Liverpool supporter, I don't think I have ever been as proud as I was yesterday of my team. That team. I just can't think of anything. It's just spectacular. And it also reminded me how much I miss going to the football. Because I'm a right negative Nelly sometimes. I'm never fucking money this, fucking money this. You know what I mean? It's changed. I don't like the top flight game anymore. I don't like the top flight game anymore. I fucking don't. But this didn't feel like the top flight game yesterday. The game has changed. And I know I'm not the only one that feels like that. But yesterday I felt the passion, and the romance of football again. And I sat there and I was like, I really fucking miss it. But this is what I'm talking about. I miss the real football. This was real, guys. It was a good day to be a Liverpool fan yesterday. Never forget your roots, ever. Never forget what our football club is about. And, you know, like I say, when I saw Jurgen'S celebrate at full time, I was like, why are we letting this man leave? You know, it's so sad, to be honest with you. But we did it, we won, and it was fantastic. I don't even want to like be jokey really in my video, because I really mean every single thing I'm saying today. And if you did go to the final, I'm so happy for you, you know. If you watch it at home, I'm so happy for you too. I just watched it on my sofa, chilling at home. I was tempted to go to the pub, but I'm glad I didn't go to the pub, because if I'd have gone to the pub, I'd probably still be out now. You know. Don't ever, ever, ever become one of those fans that says, League Cup, nah. FA Cup, nah. Don't become one of them, like the modern day fucking idiots. Exceptionally proud of our supporters, our players, our manager, everyone yesterday. It was beautiful. Really good. And look how I'm talking about a fucking League Cup final. It's probably, it is the lowest in the order of preference, which has to exist. Order of preference, order of priority. But whether you win a Champions League final or a League Cup final, it's still silverware. It's the same passion. It's the same celebrations. Don't ever, ever, ever give up on this shit, man. All right, guys. Let me know what you think. How are you feeling today? Do you agree with me? Is there any of you that are a bit like more romantic today about the game and like, yeah, it's still there, Dunk. It's still there. They can't take it away from us. And they can't. They only can take it away from us if we allow it. And if you're ever sat with a Liverpool fan that's your friend or whatever, and he says to you, yeah, it's only a FA Cup. Don't get me wrong, people might say that when you're being beat. So Champions League, fucking, they didn't want to win it. That's fine. But when people if they ever say, well, fucking, what, Wednesday night we're playing who? No. Because also this competition means the world to some of the smaller clubs out there, like Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can mean the world to some of these fans down the divisions. You know, the real football supporters are not the ones that support the big clubs. League Cup, FA Cup, is fucking important, man. If you're a real football fan, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So, thumbs up the video if you appreciate what I'm saying. Drop me a comment. I am going away to England tomorrow, so if you want to buy me a pint this week, hit that super thanks button. Ooh. Talk of the devil. Oh.
It's absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. They did us proud.